Today, making camera comparison between the Google Pixel 9a and the Google Pixel 10, and I will be to tell you what I think the Pixel 9a is a better buy. Stick around. Selfie camera, I'm recording 4K 60 on Pixel 10, and then we've got 4K 30, that's the highest resolution on Pixel 9a. Color is looking similar, however, yeah, the grass looks more natural on Pixel 10. But let's have a look at some selfies. Starting with ultra wide angle, 4K 30 FPS. And let me tell you, there is more similarities between those two devices than differences. And ultra wide angle is identical. Both can only do 4K 30. There is no 4K 60 available. But I'm going to switch to the main camera. And again, it's identical on both of these devices. The only difference is that the Google Pixel 10 has optical zoom ×5. But yeah, we're going to talk about this a little bit later on. It is extremely windy, so I'm going to stick to 4K 30 FPS because when you switch to 60, the speech enhancement is not available. I mean, look how windy it is. But let me check on stabilization. Colors looking very similar. Here you go. Digital crop ×2, and now the biggest difference, you got that optical zoom. Let me go ×5 to match this with the Pixel 9a. However, I can go ×20 with Pixel 10. But let's compare picture quality now. I'm just exploring this beautiful garden. It's extremely windy outside, so I'm gonna have a look at some macro photography. But before we do that, let me show you the autofocus when you get a little bit closer to your subject. I'm recording in ×2. You can go optical zoom ×5 on Pixel 10, but the quality is not that great, even though it should be using the optical zoom. But let's have a look at those macro shots now. Okay, now I'm using the blur effect. Pixel 10 has this option. Unfortunately, we will not find this on a budget-friendly Pixel 9a. But let's have a look at some portrait photography now. Worth mentioning that even though we've got optical zoom on Pixel 10, you can't really use for portrait photography, which is a bit of a shame. But let's have a look at this now. Let's have a look at the camera layout to see similarities and differences. And the biggest one is definitely the blur effect on Pixel 10, which is not available on regular 9A. I like the fact that both have the pan for those cinematic shots, and then you've got 24 FPS and HDR10 bit colors on Google Pixel 10, which is not available on Google Pixel 9A. On the top of that, when you move on to those AI Add Me features, you can see they both are identical. However, the biggest difference is here with the portrait. You can see you got times 1, 1.5, 2, and even times 3. However, Pixel 10 has dedicated times 5 optical zoom, which is not available here, so simply just can't use it. But let's have a look at some slow motion now. Let me show you one of the prettiest streets here in the town where I live. It's always nice and quiet here. It's the main camera. Again, the colors just a little bit more natural on Pixel 10. However, the quality looks really good on both. Digital crop. And take some pictures now. Now it's extremely dark, just standing by the church. On the left, Pixel 10, you can see that the preview is just a lot clearer. I like the fact that both support the astrophotography. I have put both on the tripod, but let's have a look at the results. And I must say that the only difference I can see so far is the color accuracy. The Pixel 10 has slightly more natural colors, but other than that, they're basically taking pretty much the same pictures except the zoom. Maximum zoom, and this is the biggest difference. You can see times 20 on Pixel 10 versus times 5 on Pixel 9A. We'll just explore this camera comparison just a little bit more, so stick around. Just switch to the blur effect on Pixel 10. Of course, the Pixel 9A does not have this feature available, just to show you the difference, what results you can achieve with that. But yeah, let's have a look at some portrait photography at night and compare the quality. So my final thoughts, 799 is definitely way too much for Pixel 10. I think the Pixel 9A is a better choice for 499. As you could see yourself, the picture quality videos are pretty much identical. However, this is still not cheap. When you're thinking about something like the Poco F7 that cost $339 and it has better performance, faster charging, more features for the camera. Do you know what I mean? On the top of that, I think the Pixel and other brands just not really improving much, and especially for the hardware. Yes, they do a lot with the, image processing, the AI, just look at the quality I am getting from the phone. Yes, I am using phone right now to make this video, the Vivo X200 Ultra, that will cost $749. If you go to Mike's website, average.tech, definitely go and check his YouTube. He's doing some amazing stuff about those Chinese brands, because just like me, I think all the brands are just way too overpriced. Please let me know your thoughts about Pixels and phones overall. Put that in your comments below, and I'll catch you next video. Cheers.